releasing some of the emotional, what's underlying the emotional issues underneath all of that can help people heal almost immediately, it sounds like overnight. And I know that I've used this in my practice, but you've talked about it as well, using some of that trauma reversal. Randy and I did a show with Patrick Singleton.
Oh, wonderful.
And talked about the trauma reversal. We had a demo of that. So I know that you have used that in your practice as well.
And this is really helpful for the IBS. Certainly if you identify a traumatic event, clearing the emotional charge of that event can help release some of the stress in the body. But also, one of the things I usually start with is reversing experiences of the illness.
Exactly.
And because so often, like I say, the reason people come at first is all the anxiety about what happens if I have a problem and I'm out in public and people see and people smell. So let's say they have had one of these just embarrassing moments, and it's embarrassing, folks. So you know how if you do something really embarrassing, it seems to stick with you, and anytime you think about it, you just cringe and shudder.
Absolutely.
So when they've had that, we use the trauma reversal, so it takes that energetic charge away from it. So they can look at those events and say, yeah, okay, that happened, but so what? Now let me see what I'm going to do next. And that really helps people to overcome that sense of the desperation of wanting to hide from the world and get them engaged again. And like you pointed out at the start, that's the juice. That's the incentive. That's what we always want to keep is, we work with the carrot, not the stick, right? We want to give our clients something to work towards. And here, the thing to work towards is to be involved in life again, to be out there doing the things you love, the freedom to just do whatever you want without having to worry about a bathroom.
Yeah, and I know, again, you said before that sounds so simple and so simplistic to some people.
To us, but not to IBS sufferers. I had a client who told me she can't even read a book. She used to love to read novels, but when she reads a novel, she starts thinking, well, when do they go to the bathroom in this story? Where are the bathrooms in this situation? And they're at a castle. What's the bathroom like at the castle? And it just becomes obsessive. Yeah.
And I know you've talked about the fear, and I know that it just accumulates and accumulates. That fear just accumulates until they do wind up in the chair. And I know when people do wind up in my office, it's like almost the fear alone in that moment when they come in and the obsessive thoughts about it. I could see just those thoughts alone are how they hold their body and hold that in their body. Sometimes on a first session, just relaxing people, just putting them into hypnosis and having them have that experience of the parasympathetic and homeostasis. I could almost see their intestines relax. And just by the look on their face, it seems like for the first time some of these people get some kind of just relief in their abdomen. And
it makes a big difference.
It's amazing.
And one of the things about that, Mitch, is so often people don't realize that they can give themselves that kind of attention, And that's a big thing that I found, too, for a lot of people with IBS. There's this sense of like, well, this just happened to me, and it's just something that my body is doing now. And they don't realize that they can take some time to focus on themselves and do something for themselves. One of the most extreme cases of this, I had a woman in her 70s who came to me with IBS, and I was asking her, well, tell me about your condition. And she said, well, my son, this and this. I see, well, but tell me about your condition. Well, my friend so-and-so, and well, tell me about your condition. And finally, after 4 or 5 attempts to get her to talk about herself, I had to stop her and say, is this a pattern for you, not taking any time to focus on yourself and your needs? And the dear, she had tears in her eyes, and I realized this is how we live, so many of us. We forget that we're important too. And so that can be a really big piece for you folks out there dealing with IBS. Remember, you're important too, and you can make a difference in your body if you just give yourself some time to do so.
And that's why we're doing these shows, I really enjoy talking about the stress and how it affects the body and all these different issues in IBS, and just from headaches and migraines to just backache, all of it. But there are ways to have a different experience in your life, and there are easy ways to relax. And we did an interview with a wonderful woman, Nancy Ash, about yoga, and she just showed Brandy doing like 5 minutes of breathing, and how just breathing. And I know Herbert Benson. We've talked about Herbert Benson and the relaxation response, and I know I've taught my clients with IBS just to do some simple breathing exercises and take that, like you said, take some time, appreciate yourself, honor your body, this temple that you live in, and just relax. Take 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, And I also, this is something that we learned in school, but I ask my clients, they're suffering from this IBS and they're suffering with these uncomfortable, horrible feelings that they're telling me about, and then they come back a week later and didn't do the exercises.
Right.
So again, it's that old question: when are you going to know you've suffered enough? You know?
Well, and what do you want to feel? And they say, well, I want to not feel this.
Exactly.
But what do you want to feel? And it's so hard sometimes for us to just say, this is what I want, this is what I deserve. I deserve to feel good, to feel comfortable in my skin, to enjoy my experience of life. And so that's what it's all about. And towards that end, one of the other things I found to be amazingly effective for people who are willing to take this route is simply imagery of something higher. And it doesn't matter what that is. It can be, God. It can be higher power. It can be the universe and universal interconnectedness.
Nature. Yeah.
But for people who do have some sense of, yes, I think I'm a part of something bigger than me, we can, in hypnosis, guide them through a sense of connecting with that, and through that connection realizing, I'm not here to suffer. I'm here to do something else. And then letting that energy in their internal experience enter into them and enter into their bodies. And at the bodily level, and at the systemic level, at the organ level, at the tissue level, at the cellular level, let that energy come in and just wash away any of those wrong ideas, any of that wrong message, any of that old program that's become lodged in the body, anything about the fear, anything about the insecurity. Let spirit remove it. And I tell you what, I've had a couple of clients that had dramatic turnarounds in a single session when they were able to get to that level of imagery in their mind of connecting with something higher.
Excellent. Well, that sounds really good. I know, in some of our previous shows we've talked about the model of the mind and really opening up to that super consciousness and
That's right.
that problem-solving part of our mind where we really do have all the answers. And I think relaxing probably would give a lot of people more access to that too, to quiet not only quiet their mind, but quiet their bodies, to be open to that information and that healing.
And again, Mitch, it's because you're getting out of fear. You're getting out of a sympathetic nervous response, and that's what it's all about. I mean, if you think about even our language and how we talk about fear as relates to the body, can you think of any expressions we use about fear in the body?
Oh, God.
You ever been scared shitless?
Scared shitless, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Well, it's part of our language to talk about, and we...
And the thing is, why is it part of our language? Why is it in our language to say scared shitless? There's something about our excretory system that's tied to the notion of fear. It's in our consciousness. That's why it's in our language.
Well, holding on to fear, our body holding on
gripping.
to gripping. That's what when people come to me with this problem, that's kind of the imagery that I have in my mind is their intestines.
And sometimes
just
it's gripping
on.
and sometimes it's blasting. That's the interesting thing about IBS is it can be extreme constipation, it can be extreme diarrhea, it can be one day and one the next. And that's why it's so hard to diagnose, and frankly, that's why it's so hard for Western medicine to treat, because it can sometimes change, and the treatment will now be making it worse.
Right.
So, anything that's like that, where they say, well, it's all over the place, there doesn't seem to be any organic cause. Well, if there's no organic cause, guess where the cause might be? And this means that it's something, if your mind and body together got the wrong notion, or got a notion that's no longer serving you, and created this situation, they can create its reversal. And it can happen that fast.
I always tell my clients the same part of their creative intelligence that created this issue is the same
knows
part
exactly
that
what to do.
Exactly. That's exactly how to get rid of it.
That's right.
Yeah, perfect. And you've just heard James and I talk quite a bit about IBS and our clients and the results that we've had. But when I talked to James about doing this interview, he emailed me a page on a website that had pages and pages of actual documented research that's been done on this issue.
Yeah, there's a lot of
with
research.
hypnosis, with different modalities. So I just wanted to go ahead and read this one because I thought this was so interesting. Sure. And I'm not going to go with the names because I can't even pronounce
it would take
I'll give you the website after this, and you can go look it up. But it says, in this study, 204 IBS patients treated with a course of hypnotherapy completed questionnaire scoring symptoms, quality of life, anxiety, and depression before, immediately after, and up to 6 years following the treatment. 71% of the patients showed improvement in response to the treatment initially, and of those, 81% were still improved years later. I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it says...
those are high percentages.
That's a